Metro North's Waterbury branch is a 28-mile stretch from Waterbury, Connecticut to Bridgeport, Connecticut. The railway weaves in and out through Connecticut Route 8 and the Naugatuck River, stopping in 6 central and lower Naugatuck Valley towns. In my experience riding Metro North, CT Rail, and Amtrak throughout Connecticut, the Waterbury branch is the most rough in terms of train stations. Outside of Waterbury branch stations have the bare necessities. For example, the amenities provided at Seymour station are 2 benches, a trash bin, and a small brick structure with nothing inside, not even a door. To get on the train, you have to step up the stairs of the rail car because of the absence of a platform. I often think about what makes a quality train station, and I always come back to the idea of a station's connection to its community. A station with a plethora of amenities, like waiting rooms, monitors displaying schedules, elevators, are comfy, but can still feel hollow and distant at times if the station itself is hard to access. Quality stations are usually walkable, or have a central location in town that can be accessed in a variety of ways, whether that be driving, biking, walking, or by bus. A station like Seymour is charming and holds massive potential in the way it's ingrained in its community. Seymour Station is situated on Main Street in a small downtown area of historic buildings that host a variety of vendors. On Main Street and Bank Street sit pizza places, restaurants, salons, antique shops, a coffee shop, the post office, and more. Directly across from the station is Strand Theater, a community staple that's been in operation since the 1940s. Although it's small and not necessarily glamorous, downtown Seymour is inviting to travelers. The walkability of this downtown space makes up for the lack of train station amenities. If you need a bite to eat, there's plenty of options just across the street, and if you have time to kill, you can check out many of the shops in the vicinity. The people of Seymour have a lot of pride in their town. While recording video for this project, I was stopped twice by locals who were eager to give me recommendations on where to take photos. One woman was passionate about the Congregational Church on Broad Street that was built in 1846. As I took photos of Strand Theater, a man walked outside and offered to turn on the marquee lights. Throughout history, many of the region's economic developments have been based in the successful manufacturing companies situated along the Naugatuck River. In the 1800s, brass manufacturing reigned supreme in the valley, bringing economic opportunity to the region, along with the constant dumping of industrial waste into the river, but that is another story. With the dispersion of manufacturers along the river, the idea of building a railroad was born. A railroad would benefit businesses, providing a faster way to transport raw materials to cities like Bridgeport and open up markets that may not have been viable otherwise. Alfred Bishop, a businessman from Bridgeport, brought the idea of a Naugatuck Railroad to life. In 1845, a charter was secured and the first official train was on the tracks in 1849. Completing the railway was not an easy task. During development, Bishop understood the precarious route the tracks would cover, noting the threat of flooding along the banks of the Naugatuck River. Over 100 years later, the flood of 1955 validated his concerns. In August of 1955, 2 tropical storms hit the region back-to-back. These storms led to flooding that caused over $130 million of property damage throughout the Naugatuck Valley, with $6.5 million in Seymour. Tracks running along the riverbed were damaged up and down the route. Last year, almost 69 years to the day, floods severely damaged tracks in Seymour, washing slopes and ballast into the river. The MTA noted that repairs would take over 1,500 cubic yards of stone and 3,600 cubic yards of fill materials. The Waterbury branch was suspended for 10 weeks before reopening in October. On its first day back in operation, I rode the Waterbury branch from Waterbury to Bridgeport to take a look at the repaired line. Despite the lengthy suspension, people still showed up to take the train that first morning back, showing the need for rail travel in the valley. From the top of French Memorial Park, you can see people traveling by rail on the Waterbury branch and by automobile on Connecticut Route 8, the highway that's constantly the cause of headache for drivers in the region. Multiple modes of transportation running side by side mutually benefit each other. Updated railways would lead to a less congested Route 8, creating safer and more efficient travel for drivers. Updated and increased rail service through the valley can also lead to utilizing local bus services hand in hand. The Connecticut Department of Transportation's 2025 to 2029 Capital Plan lays out public transportation projects for the next 4 years. In the Capital Plan, $29.6 million were placed towards Ansonia, Beacon Falls, and Seymour train stations through federal discretionary grants, adding new platforms and amenities at each stop. Construction projects are scheduled to begin in the fall of 2025 and finish in the fall of 2027, along with other updates along the Waterbury branch line. Updates to Seymour Station are well overdue. The current layout of Seymour Station doesn't comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, which protects disabled people from discrimination and secures accessibility in public spaces. This is a major issue that cannot be overlooked or ignored. The project will get rid of the small building that currently stands and replace it with a long platform that will allow more train doors to open. The platform will look the same as the one planned for Ansonia and Beacon Falls, with slight differences depending on the town. Aside from making the station accessible and complying with the ADA, it will also provide updated amenities like electric vehicle parking spaces, proper platform lighting, a ticket vending machine, and a bike rack. So what makes a quality train station? Even if updates to Seymour didn't pan out, I'd still find it charming with loads of potential. Many criticize stations for their impracticality or lack of amenities, but it's important to remember how a station connects to its community. A successful station is an integral part of a town rather than solely serving as a utility of it. A station like Seymour is more likely to get away with not having amenities because of its central location downtown. It's a sense of community and local pride that makes towns like Seymour even more deserving of station upgrades. Even with nothing, Seymour Station still provides something. With major infrastructure updates on the way, we're just now seeing the possibilities of quality rail service in central Connecticut. Spaces like downtown Seymour, Ansonia, and Naugatuck can be picturesque scenes of public transit if we can see the massive potential that lies in their minimal, often neglected facilities. Quality train stations along the Waterbury branch can lead more people to find the charm of these Naugatuck River Valley towns.